Welcome to today's collective reading. This is TrinityGaiaOracle. The first oracle cards that came out highlighted quite a bit that you're invited to really look at where you have been on your journey. Different benchmarks, different times. Maybe there were moments of great change, tower moments. Maybe they were more based upon time. Where were you 5 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago? And in that, look at all that you have overcome, all that you've healed from, all the challenges that you have faced and you're still facing. And then anchor yourself into the now and the wonderment of where you are right now in this amazingly vast expanse of this universe and all the different timelines that you could have found yourself on, but you found yourself here in this moment, right now. There seems to also be something present that you could have been resisting and you've just overcome, or you are still somewhatly feeling like you need to guard yourself against. Something that you need to defend. The caution that has come through from the universe in these oracles is that you push against, the harder and harder you push against it, the more you attract the essence of the very thing that you're trying to push away from you. To elevate your vibration above it is to make it so you don't have to push against it anymore. You focus on positive things. You focus on the opposite of that you're trying to push against or guard against, and you simply become out of reach. This has really highlighted quite a bit that a lot of the individuals tuning in the collective have been going through many timelines by making different decisions that elevate your timeline that you get to be on. You've been consistently choosing to be happier, consistently choosing that makes you feel excited about tomorrow, that brings you closer to your passion, and that you're everything that you're working towards, have been working towards, all the decisions from 5 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, have been leading you to. There's a consistency present in that you will consistently choose your truth that you know will bring your happiness. So really, the question is, at what point do you decide that you have arrived in this moment? Are you living in your past? Are you projecting into your future? Or are you anchoring in the now? And we do this throughout our day, many different times. Whether it's planning next week's, vacation, or what you're doing on your shift, or what project into the future, or you're like, man, I kind of feel like I need to pull from some of the lessons I've learned in my past to bring into this moment, and just kind of go over those details a little bit to make sure that, I don't repeat some of the things that I don't want to repeat. To notice those patterns to help break you free of that cycle. And that was definitely a synchronicity that leads into the 2 power animals that came through for the collective's reading today. Both of the images are very much circle, cyclical. First one is the dolphin. And I'll just read the symbology keywords on the back: life, feminine energy, and sexuality. So there is creative energy here. There's also a conch shell. So listening to the whispers, going within, listening to that intuition. The dolphins are basically making a circle shape. There's 2 of them on here. So there's one jumping over and there's one coming under to jump back up. And then we have the puma, which is power, desire, and healing. And this particular image really represents kind of like a drum. You have the 4 towers or quarters pointed out, the 4 directions. And there's many different animal images present other than just the puma, which is definitely center. But we have like the raven, we have the owl, we have what looks to be like a fish and a crocodile in here too. So there's a lot of energy present within this, meaning that you have a lot of allies. Even if, one shows up, they got a lot of allies behind them. The whole turning of this wheel in freeing yourself from these cycles, consistently choosing not to settle, consistently choosing to reach for that allows you to feel like you can expand. You've broken so many cycles and elevated through so many timelines. And if you find yourself at the beginning of this journey of, so that's what it means for me in this moment, that I've just, chosen to elevate my timeline to a higher vibration. So I just am not being affected by these lower vibrations anymore. This is your confirmation, yes, and an invitation to honor the past. Consider, planning for the future, but be present in your now as much as possible in respect to both of those directions, past and future. The honoring where you are, enjoying where you are. The next layer down, where we have you guys right now, is a sense of community, a sense of belonging, anchoring that into your physical reality. There is also an element, because there was that, what are we really guarding against? Are we attracting more of it by feeling that we must push against it, to guard against it? There's an element of opportunities in your environment where you could choose to perceive them as possibly a bit, how do you want to say it? Unnerving, I guess. It's like if you're alone, it's the middle of the night, you happen to live in a city, or, you're walking through a forest and it's dark. In the city, it would be, any sound that you would hear as well as in the forest. You would take notice of that hyper awareness, that hypersensitivity, the increasing of your abilities as you continue to elevate through these timelines. You're more finely attuned to what does not fit. Now you add in an element where, say, you do hear something rustle in the city, in the alley, in the woods, in the forest, in the middle of the night. It's that everything suddenly goes quiet. That moment, know that you have allies around you that will intercede. Even if it's just to show you as an alley cat, or maybe it's a bear on a dead run that just whooshes right by, doesn't even notice, and you just got to witness that beautiful, raw demonstration of nature. There's meaning, there's communication in that. It's never going to be something that you actually need to fear anymore. That can't be your first go-to anymore. You've elevated beyond that. When those situations happen now, it's to get your attention, yes. But also, you have allies around you that you don't even see that will intercede. Especially if you're resonating with that puma. And no, with the dolphin here, you've continually chosen to turn this cycle, to elevate above your knee-jerk reaction being fear. Now, we have human instincts. We do. It's getting to know them now. It's getting to be more familiar with them, to allow them to move from being irrational to more rational, more within your conscious choice. As you encounter those times, you will become well acquainted with your primal instincts. And you'll begin to see the synchronicities that it's communication, it's not danger. You're protected from that. Even if it is triggering, it is meant to heal. It's not meant to harm. Moving into what you know. what's currently going on, that you've really owned your sovereignty, that you are one with all that is, and that wisdom, true knowledge, you gain it from going within. By tuning out the physical world, that you could physically see right now, that you know to be tangibly real, that you can touch, you're able to tune in to all that is possible the moment you close your eyes. And you go with it. You communicate with all of you, all that ever has been, is, or ever will be. And the more that you do that, the more that you understand the vastness of all that we are connected to, all that we are a part of, and anchor that sovereignty, that connection, that groundedness into your reality without removing yourself from the expanse of what's possible. Definitely a feel of possibly being aware of more timelines before they actually reach their junction. You may have more premonition versus, this is what I'm doing. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it, but I trust my intuition. You're going to have an inkling a bit more before you get to that decision point. What you're willing into being is a more intimate friendship, dialogue, conscious, tangible connection to your spirit guide team. Ancient mysteries, they have an image of like Stonehenge in the background. So any kind of stonework that specifically resonates with you, be it, Göbekli Tepe, be it Stonehenge, be it, Egypt. There's also an antidote in here. There is healing coming in as a result of all of these timeline jumps that you've done. I mean, depending on where you're at or in this journey, you have probably changed spirit guide teams or upgraded, like they've upgraded with you. They've had to evolve and grow and meet you where you are and where you're going. So you may have had a lot of spirit guides come and go. You've had a few that have remained consistent and constant. There's definitely a very maternal, feminine ancestor who has been with you throughout all of this, making sure that your fire is guarded, making sure that flame doesn't get snuffed out in this whole process. No matter how dark the new challenge may appear to be, there is great wisdom to be found within dark. Just as when you close your eyes, it's not light that you see when you close your eyes, it's darkness. Depending, sure, you could be closing your eyes and looking up at the sun, then you would see red. But the metaphor would be darkness, to look within. Into what you're intuitively picking up on, what you're receptive to. For this collective, the more and more that you elevate into higher and higher timelines, meaning just happier, more balanced, more positive, more abundant in all things, the timelines that you choose in this world, the currency, the abundance, love is that. Yes, money is part of that, but it comes as a result of the abundance of love. Love of self, love of others, the willingness to do what you feel is right, even if it's not easy, having morals and ethics, your belief in what is right and wrong when it comes to not just human rights, but the rights of the animals and the environment, of caring for the future generations. All of that has brought in each timeline, you're coming closer and closer to others that are also of that same material, if you will, that same blueprint, that same resonance of what matters and what is true. And you're each unique. And that is how it's supposed to be. This is individuals individuals that you're encountering, that you're learning from, and they're learning from you. You're co-creating. You could actually be telepathically connecting with individuals like this, and you would call them soul tribe, because you're meant to learn from one another. You're not meant to say, we all believe X, Y, or Z. You're meant to be unique facets to bring wisdom to one another and celebrate one another's differences. Not to say, we believe this, and to belong to this group, you must believe this. No. In a world that values love before money, knowing that money becomes a part of the equation because of love, there is an embracing of the individual perspective as a unique facet of the divine experiencing itself. We are all children, daughters and sons of the divine. Some of us, we need one another a little bit more at times. So when you encounter these individuals, there is communication not just from that unique facet of the divine, but the divine is bringing this individual to you in this moment for a reason. Even if it's triggering, there is healing to be had on both sides, and wisdom and awareness and confidence within yourself, and strengthening of that connection, that you know that there's no such thing as a coincidence. Okay, we're going to go one more layer deeper here. We'll get some tarot in here for you guys. And the receptive energy, what came through is around the stories that we tell ourselves. As we go from timeline to timeline, we may encounter an energy that, maybe isn't quite so much what it seems, and it may be something within us, not necessarily outside of us. The most painful or most challenging lessons that we have, or lies that we have to overcome, are the lies that we tell ourselves about the world that we live in, or the world that we desire to create. So as we elevate, as we move from moment to moment, and we observe this going on around us as well, anchoring into the now, being honest and truthful with ourselves, knowing that we create the story. We are the writer, the director, the narrator. We're all of it. We're all of it. We cast the actors. If we want a different voice for our narration, we decide whose voice we want it to be. But also, to be receptive, specifically coming from your guardians, your guides, source, you are moving into calmer waters. Write this into your story, that you are moving into calmer waters. You're no longer in the whitewater rapids. You're moving into a calm pool at the bottom of these rapids that is pretty stable. It's pretty chill. You made it. You made it. And that's because you desired to make it with all of you. You were receptive, yet willing to act towards this. And you had assistance. Cats may be of specific significance here, also with the puma coming through. Your animals, your pets, they have been through this with you. And our animals, our pets, they act as energy filters for us. They try to take on a little bit for us. If we're really going through it, well, they're going to try to help and take that on. And you've had help with that. Your spirit team has also been there to support your animal, your pets, or little fur babies, with all the energy of you going through all of these timeline changes. And then we have 7 of Wands. This particular image is, there is a fierce protectiveness. Fierce protectiveness. This is an energy that you do not want to encounter. So that focus, that inner warrior within you was not accepting any other outcome, but reaching this calmer water. Are you receptive to accepting that this truly is where you are? Because the moment you do, it becomes the truth of your story. Once you accept it, it is. It is. And the only one that can write it out of being in the Seven of Swords, or Six of Swords, my bad. Because the Seven of Swords was the narrator in this part. The only one that can write you out of this calmer waters is you. The only one that can do that is you. By focusing on that shows you you are in calmer waters, you attract more of that. We're going to move into what guidance we have for more of the assertive energy present within you, where you're going, where you've been, the facets that have come out in this reading. All right, there's a bit more in the assertive energy that came through for you guys that Source, Divine, I'd like to highlight for you guys. First of all, you're not cool with being out in the cold anymore. We have the Five of Pentacles reversed. That's not a thing anymore. You're not accepting that. You're not writing that into your story anymore. You're bringing yourself, if you identify as being out in the cold, you're bringing yourself in. If there are energies that you don't want out there, well, you're going to give them the opportunity to come in out of the cold, and if they decide to remain out there, that's their choice. It's not yours. You're not responsible for other people's decisions. They are. That is how you create your world. You give the opportunity for them to come with you or not to. That is how you manifest your reality. You do not overrule their free will in your creating of your reality. Excuse me. I have a kitty. Okay, I'm back. Now, we do have a major arcana, and there has been some judgment that has needed to happen at this turning of the wheel, at this pretty momentous timeline shift that you have chosen through your own decisions. And that was to bring to light where you did not realize that you were bound, that you believed truths that weren't actually true. That you believed truths that weren't actually your truth. Maybe they were a truth that was given to you by someone else. And at that point in time, you believed them, but you're finding that that is actually not something that resonates as your truth anymore, because you're on this higher timeline, because you've chosen to elevate, to raise your vibration, to give your focus to a better, brighter future where you can really embrace every moment and be absolutely thrilled to be in it. Because you have been choosing that, you can really see the truths that are not actually truth. They are very much the lies, deception, possibly manipulations, desires to keep you on their timeline, somewhere under their influence. Or maybe you are doing that because you want to keep certain people within your own experience. And the realization of letting that untruth go, freeing yourself from it, allows it to evolve. Be that an actual idea, a concept, a belief, or an individual, or a group, or a spiritual construct that you're recognizing just does not fit as love, light, truth, something that allows you to really expand in excitement and energy. However it may be, you do have the Ace of Swords here coming in on this judgment. So this judgment asks you to go within and find the actual truth, and you do. That is part of the major arcana, so it is something that you're meant to assertively act to now. It is divinely guided. It is partly contracted with you, with yourself coming into this life before you even got here, before you were even born. So you're not accepting being out in the cold. You're not accepting falsities within yourself. And you're taking that truth with you out into the world. You're owning it. It's part of what's elevating your energy. Now, this is a spot that kind of definitely need to go a bit deeper into. We have the Nine of Swords landing on, well, it's in reverse, and it's landing on the Queen of Wands. It's landed on its side. So it's in transition. And then we have the Fool in the upright. So the Knight of Wands and the Fool are clarifying this Queen of Wands. And I mentioned them. Is it a Nine of Wands consistently? That's interesting because it's actually the Nine of Swords. So we have 9-9 here. It's worthwhile looking into the Nine of Wands as well. One step away from being so incredibly burdened that you must put it down in order to move forward. So that would be the Nine of Wands for the collective. That divine source definitely wanted to come through for you guys. However, the actual card here, the Queen of Wands, is an incredibly desirable feminine energy. She's literally on fire. She is everything that is desirable to be manifested in feminine receptive energy. She's incredibly magnetic. The Nine of Swords, this individual flipped the script. They were originally meant to be impaled by 9 swords. 9 painful truths. One more and it would have been their end. Or a new beginning, be that reincarnation or a literal new chapter without whatever they were holding on to that brought these 9 truths towards them. They flipped the script though, because just as in the 8 of Swords here, you realized how many of these swords were not actually truth. And in that, you elevated above the falsity of all of those swords, giving yourself the ability to be the fool, to reach for that you felt was out of reach that you desired. To step out of the shadows, to step out of your safety zone, to step out of that is familiar, and dare to experience that you've always watched and wondered and wanted to know what it would feel like. This Queen of Wands, she is upright the moment you own that is where you are. That this is your opportunity to experience what you've always desired and almost always felt like you're on the outside looking in. Now you get to be on the outside, in the sun, in the light, with that you desire. Others can look on then and wonder what it would be like on the outside, experiencing all of that with you themselves. It's an interesting flip of the metaphor. I like it, Source. Very interesting. And the last thing that really came through very clearly, because it pairs with the receptive energy, speaking to how you narrate your story, you write it, you are the author. There is great wisdom to be found in knowing the best path to choose when you reach for this Queen of Wands. Because we have the Three of Wands here. It's choosing a path. You have a couple of options. And that advice is, how do you write the story for the villain? To really take a good look at how you write the villain into your inner dialogue and how you talk to yourself and feel about your day. Has that changed? Is your villain maybe not so completely bad anymore? Maybe they're a little more of the Eight of Cups. Maybe they're moving a little more towards something that's less polarizing. Because you have been elevating and elevating and elevating because you desire that villain to not be an arch villain, right? Or an arch villain. You're desiring that villain to actually maybe be more of a misunderstood friend versus an actual enemy. Someone who desires bad things for you. Maybe they're just misunderstood. Maybe they're not healed. Maybe they just need a bit of your truth. You know, because you've found all these falsities through the truths that you once believed. Maybe they just need you to shed a little bit of light. They're not necessarily the villain. They're not necessarily evil. Maybe they're just trying to understand. And they know you have the answer. Or you at least have the ability to help them think about it from a different perspective to find their own truth. Because even the villain in your story could want to move on to a Nine of Cups. Not remain at 8. Or 7 or 6. Even the villain in your story from when you began this 5 years ago has shown up in different individuals in your energy over and over and over throughout every time that you leveled up, most likely. They have been evolving too and growing too. As you elevate, they elevate with you. You elevate every character in your story as you choose to elevate. I think that'll be the title for the reading, actually. That will conclude today's reading. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you that has tuned in. Please like, share, subscribe. Feel free to comment. I do ask that you be respectful in the comments and considerate of others. Keeping it, all around a pretty high vibe or a positive environment. If you do have questions, feel free to ask, and I'll ask that, anybody who responds to be respectful. The divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste.